basketball gods in an empire state of mind today. Basketball is the city game, and no city in the world resonates with the unique vibes of hoops more than New York City. And today we're at Madison Square Garden, the biggest stage, and welcome to the Basketball Community Cup at Nike World Basketball Festival. And inside Madison Square Garden, matchup of the United States taking on France as the USA prepares for its trip to Turkey in the World Basketball Championships, led by Kevin Durant, the NBA's leading scorer, and Lamar Odom, champion with the Los Angeles Lakers. Kevin Durant, the youngest scoring champion ever in the NBA. Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Jones, along with Fran Fraschilla. Thanks for coming aboard. Well, Fran, back in 2008, order was restored to the basketball world when Team USA won the gold medal in the Olympics in Beijing. But this officially closes the book on that team. We've got brand new players today. What do we expect?
Well, the culture's in place, but we have some a next generation, if you will, of young NBA stars ready to represent the United States of America.
And, Fran, when you look at the strengths and the weaknesses of this group, it's a new group, so what do they bring to the table? Excellent
athleticism. They're interchangeable at 4 different positions. They do have enough shooting, and they have Kevin Durant. Reason to worry, can you build a cohesive team if you're Mike Krzyzewski with all that youth and inexperience in just 2 weeks as they head to the World Championships in Istanbul 2 weeks from now?
Their first game going to be against Croatia just 14 days from today. And let's take a look at our starting lineups. Brought to you by Nike. And a distinctively NBA flavor starting for the French team today when you recognize names like Nicolas Batum of the Portland Trail Blazers, Boris Diaw of the Charlotte Bobcats, and Jan Mahinmi of the Dallas Mavericks. Rondo and Billups in the backcourt for USA. Andre Iguodala, who's been very impressive during the couple of camps. Kevin Durant. And Tyson Chandler, the lone true big, remaining on the roster. Coach Mike Krzyzewski trying to repeat the magic of 2008, leading his team to Turkey in the World Championships of basketball. He is well versed in the nuances of FIBA basketball. Friend, his experience with Team USA basketball goes back to 1990.
Yes, it does. And the experience of being with the Dream Team in '92, and of course the gold medal winning team in 2008.
USA scrimmaged China yesterday in their first true competition against another team, and they're hoping to take it to yet another level today against France. France, meanwhile, on the road as well. They have played a couple of friendlies, quote-unquote, against Canada in the last few days. And we are underway here at Madison Square Garden. This is Nando De Colo in the backcourt, along with Petrus, one of the veterans of this very young French team. Diaw driving against Iguodala on the baseline, and that's going to be a foul.
Keep in mind now, Mark, 5 fouls in FIBA basketball versus 6 in the NBA. And what you want to do is you want to get your opponent to the bonus as quickly as possible. And the bonus to shoot free throws is also 5 fouls. Important part of FIBA basketball.
Very significant differences when you talk about NBA versus FIBA-style basketball. Of course, it's a shorter game, a 40-minute game. Mahinmi's jumper is a little bit long, rebounded by the United States. Here's Chauncey Billups with that stare-down 3, this time a little bit off the mark.
We know this USA team is going to get out and run, and they're going to have the athleticism defensively to turn people over, but ultimately they're going to have to be very efficient in the half court when they play the top teams in the world.
Here's De Colo working against Rondo. Boris Diaw going right over the top of Iguodala, and he comes up short. Neither team able to score yet. It's the second possession of the ball game offensively for Team USA. Rondo running a little 2-man game.
This team will be very pick and roll oriented.
Chandler not ready for the pass. One of the priorities you would think for Team USA today, as De Colo is off the mark, Fran, is getting a little better execution in the half court offensively, right?
Without a question. They're going to blow some teams out in the World Championships, teams that can't play with them talent-wise, but ultimately, Mark, the quality teams in the field, the Spains, the Argentinas, and the Greases are going to make them play in the half court.
Mike Krzyzewski, the head coach, winning the gold medal in 2008. That foul against Mahinmi. Chauncey Billups was not part of that team in 2008, although he was among the players in the USA basketball pool. He was unable to attend for personal reasons. Billups dubbed Triple OG by his teammates here with USA basketball because he's one of the older guys.
Exactly. Well, much like Jason Kidd in 2008, Chauncey Billups does bring that maturity, 13 years in the NBA, and someone who is a pure point guard, although ironically coming off his highest scoring season of his career at about 19.5 a game for the Nuggets.
Great season for Denver. USA on the board first.
Keep in mind now, Mark, France without Tony Parker and Roddy Beaubois, and so they don't handle the ball as well as they would normally.
There's Petrus, the brother of Michael Petrus, the Orlando Magic, another player not playing for France. Colo, a little two-man game. 3 on the shot clock for France, and they're not going to get this one off. They barely get it off in time.
Yeah, that's going to be France's Achilles heel. And 6 NBA players not suiting up for this team. Quality guys like Joakim Noah who will play.
Kevin Durant off the mark for USA. France, meanwhile, 0 for 4 from the field.
You're going to play Team USA. You want them to shoot contested jump shots. You must keep them out of transition.
There's DeColo with the ball. DeColo, a draft choice of the Dallas Mavericks. Here's Batum with the pull-up over Durant. USA looking to push a little bit of tempo. That's the strength of this team that you mentioned, Fran, a few moments ago.
Well, that's not going to be, in my opinion, not going to be good enough really to get the job done.
And Tyson Chandler inside. He is so pivotal to their hopes for the gold medal, Fran. He is the only true 5 that they have on this team, right?
And in FIBA play, because when that ball is on the rim, you can knock it off. He gives you the ability to really be a rim protector. There's a good finish by Chandler. Remember, he's got international experience playing with Team USA back in 2007, but as a rim protector will be his most valuable asset.
That ball knocked out of bounds. Good hustle by Rajon Rondo. 13 on the shot clock for France. Keep in mind, going into the World Championships of Basketball, of which you'll see every game covered on ESPN2 and ESPN3.com, that USA has not won it since 1994. They've won only 3 of the 15 World Championships of basketball.
Well, for much of that time, we played with college players. In fact, the last college team to play in the World Championships in 1990, coached by Mike Krzyzewski.
Here's DeColo on the move. Tipped up. And no good. France still unable to score. Iguodala turns it over.
This has been a problem throughout training camp, valuing the basketball for Team USA. I mentioned, Mark, it will not show up most of the time against weaker competition, but it's something they have to iron out the next 2 weeks.
Here's DeColo from outside. Missing the 3 ball. France struggling in its last 2 friendlies against Canada. They lost both of those contests, one in Vancouver and one in Toronto a couple of nights ago. And right now, France 0 for 8 from the field. Diaw, nice move underneath by the Charlotte Bobcats' Boris Diaw, who doesn't appear to be in mid-season fitness condition right now. Looking a little bit fleshy for him.
Little doughy, maybe like a croissant in a patisserie.
Patisserie. How many years of French did you take at school there, bud?
I know how to eat. I don't know how to speak French, but I know where the bakery is.
USA leading by 2. Durant underneath, tipped up by Chandler, no good. And here's Batum.
Oh, I like this kid.
Laurent Petrus stripped by Iguodala. Good defensive play by Andre Iguodala. Billups with the blow by and 1. Chauncey Billups playing the role of, well, Jason Kidd's role a couple of years ago, the veteran leader in the backcourt.
Great hesitation move by Chauncey Billups. And one thing that he has, that Derrick Rose has, Eric Gordon has, the strength to be able to play FIBA basketball, because, Mark, it is a more physical game than the NBA right now. They allow a lot of hand checking out front.
You'll see some moving screens once in a while.
Yes, you will.
USA leading 6-2. Billups at the free throw line, almost a 90% free throw shooter during the regular season with his Denver Nuggets team.
Well, he's one of the great free throw shooters in NBA history.
Phillips with 5 points of the game. He'll sit down, and Stephen Curry of the Golden State Warriors comes in. Curry now joining the backcourt with Derrick Rose, who shot the ball tremendously well yesterday. I'm talking about Gordon.
Derrick Gordon, another one of those guys that I think is really made for FIBA play because he shoots it and he's got the toughness and strength to get to the rim.
USA leading by 5, just underway here in the first quarter. Batum with a soft baseline jump shot. Nicholas Batum, only 21 years, plays for the Portland Trailblazers. And he and assistant coach of Team USA, Nate McMillan, had a little chat before the game. Here's Durant. Nicolo in transition for France. Diaw for 3. Right back the other way for USA.
France getting good looks, Mark, just not able to knock them down.
There's Derrick Rose out top.
See, how do you operate in the half court? This is going to be important.
That's going to be a foul against Jan Mahinmi of the Dallas Mavericks. Timeout on the floor. We'll be back to Madison Square Garden right after this. Well, this was the scene last night at Madison Square Garden. Team USA playing someone other than themselves for the first time in a couple of weeks. Yi Jianlian of China taking on Team USA. USA winning 3 out of the 4 quarters that were played yesterday. Meanwhile, here's a look at your calendar. NBA TV has the Global Community Cup and Nike World Basketball Festival. The second half of the doubleheader tonight at 3:30 Eastern Time as China takes on Puerto Rico. And Saturday, Lithuania takes on USA, and then USA takes on Greece on Wednesday, the 25th. Important game on the second half of this doubleheader, Frank, as China improving yesterday a little bit, taking a step forward against Team USA.
Yes, they have. And in order to get to the round of 16, they'll have to beat Puerto Rico, one of those teams that is going to be vying for a spot among the elite. 24 teams, Mark, are in the World Championship. 16 will advance to the elimination round.
It's the elimination round where things get very tenuous. All it takes is a bad moment.
One bad quarter. That happened in 2006 when Greece, who has essentially much of the same team back, sliced and diced Team USA.
That ball tipped up, out of bounds. It'll be France basketball still. USA leading by 3. Let's take a look at some of the groups of the World Championships of basketball. USA in Group B, their first game is going to be against Croatia in a couple of weeks.
I'll tell you, the game I'm going to be watching, and I think it's September 1st, if you have ESPN 360.com, you have to watch Greece and Turkey. The rivalry is going to be in Ankara, where Turkey almost never loses, but Greece and Turkey is going to be an unbelievable international basketball game.
The rivalry has a lot of historical roots to it. Nice move underneath by Danny Granger, who's checked in. Lamar Odom with the cleanup on the other side. USA leading by 3. Odom finally on the board. And talk about Danny Granger. Boy, he had a great day in that scrimmage we saw a few moments ago against China. Had 22 points.
Yeah, and I love this front line right now. 3 guys with skill in terms of Iguodala, Odom, and Granger. 3 guys that can play different positions defensively.
Yanni Kokolo knocking down the 3 ball.
Yeah, this is a guy, Bokolo's got a lot of international experience.
I don't know if any experience can prepare you for the speed of Derrick Rose going down court that quickly. As Rudy Gay will check into the ball game. Lamar Odom, a valuable piece in terms of experience.
Well, and not only that, Mark, but you're talking about a team that's supposedly undersized going into the World Championships. But you got a guy in Lamar Odom who at 6'10" says, hey, you know, I'm a pretty good rebounder too. I play in a pretty good league.
Lamar Odom, a member of the 2004 team in the Olympics that won the bronze medal. On the turnover, France now with a chance to take the lead.
Yeah, this is the sloppiness we talked about in terms of the half-court execution. And this will have to get better.
There's Granger. Rose in the corner, working against Bokolo. France switching everything. And Rudy Gay, well, he's had a tough time shooting the ball the last couple of games, Frank.
Very talented guy, just signed a major contract with the Grizzlies. Obviously a young star. He's not the efficient scorer he needs to be. It's interesting, Mark, a lot of these young players played on teams that didn't do very much during the regular season, so they don't have a lot of pressure games under their belt in postseason tournament, NBA playoff, world championship-like atmosphere.
Maybe a little cause for concern for USA basketball as France takes its first lead of the ball game as we approach 2:20 to go here in the first period. That's going to be a foul against Traore.
Ali Traore, a young man that spent a little bit of time up at the College of Southern Idaho. A solid French league player, former MVP, now heading off to Rome.
Playing in Serie A, the first division?
Yes, he will. Play for Lokomotica Roma.
Love it when you speak Italian.
Like that? That's about the only Italian I know.
Steph Curry with the reverse layup. Not in the game at 11. Curry could be a pivotal piece for USA basketball in the World Championships with his 44% three-point shooting. Here's Diaw. Kicks it out to Bocolo. Made his last three and makes his last two in a row now.
The important thing there was Diaw, and we see this in the NBA. He's got that ability really to be a point forward, and without Parker and Beauvoir, he becomes very important versus Team USA's pressure today.
Rose kicks it out to Curry. 7 on the shot clock. Steph Curry a little bit strong. France now with a chance to go up by 5. That's going to be a foul against USA.
There's what we talked about, Mark. Diaw might not be in tip-top shape right now, but one of the values he brings to a team is that ability to really be your emergency point guard on the floor. Such a good passer. Versatile guy, yep.
The Charlotte Bobcats, the second oldest player on this French team. Has great lineage when it comes to athleticism. His mother, a former Olympic high jumper, and his father, a former professional soccer player.
Talked to Coach Collet before the game, a guy I know pretty well, and he said, we're not the team we'll be next year when we go to the European Championships with Joakim Noah, Tony Parker, Ronny Turiaf is out, the New York Knicks. We saw him on the bench earlier.
Odom out top with 1:17 to go in the first quarter. Rudy Gay driving to the bucket, and Gay had it partially blocked. He might have lost the handle on it too. Great anticipation by Steph Curry, and the USA has numbers. Gay not blocking that one.
That's where Rudy Gay will be very effective off dribble penetration. He's a small forward for the Grizzlies, but given this USA team's lack of size, he's going to end up being a mobile four-man.
That might get him going a little bit. Tough move inside, and that's going to be a foul against USA basketball. One more look at Rudy Gay.
Watch the block at the rim by Traore. That's a good job there. And then Curry comes back with a little drive and dish. Something Stephen Curry now, Mark, known as a scorer at Davidson. He's the 25th all-time leading scorer in the history of college basketball. Did it only in 3 years, but averaged about 6 assists a game last year as an NBA all-rookie team performer.
In addition to his about 17 points per game. An underrated playmaker, as you said, as Andre Iguodala gets set to check into the ball game. Or at the free throw line.
Don't forget, you mentioned that 44% outside shooting. That's from the NBA line, 23-9. The international line is about 3 feet further in to the rim. So Steph Curry is going to be, if he makes the team, we should point out there are 13 players left. You can take them. They plan to take every player on this next tour of Greece and Spain and then on to Turkey before they make a decision.
Recent cuts, Fran, including Javal McGee of the Washington Wizards just today, along with Jeff Green of the Oklahoma City Thunder. So 15 players coming to New York, now down to 13. Under a minute to play here in the first quarter. USA down 3. Rudy Gay trying to tie it and does.
Good rhythm jumper. Again, Iguodala is a guy that, because he's played on some bad Sixer teams, people don't realize the type of versatility he has offensively.
Coach K kind of looking at him as being a bit of a defensive stopper, Fran?
You know, like I think more, yes, and a Swiss Army knife type of guy that can do a bunch of things, which becomes important in FIBA play.
Stifling defense by Rudy Gay. 2 on the shot clock for France. and they don't get the shot off. Good defensive sequence that time for USA basketball. Vincent Collet, none too pleased about that last sequence.
Now, if you have a low post guy who's not a scorer, and Kofi's not going to do a lot of damage inside today, you don't want him with the ball when the clock gets under 5.
3 to go in the period. Derrick Rose in the count. And the first 10 minutes of the game end up knotted at 16 apiece. USA relying on the veteran leadership of Chauncey Billups, who has 5 points in the ball game, and Rudy Gay also with 5. Chandler got them out of the gate quickly, and we're tied when we come back to the Global Community Cup at Nike World Basketball Festival. Fran, those Mets trying to avenge the loss to the Phillies. Are you a Yankees or a Mets guy?
I'm a Mets fan. Don't remind me.
Okay. Yep. Just wanted to check.
We've been in turmoil for the last 2 months after a great start to the season.
Native New Yorker, you've had a great time here the last several days during this Nike World Basketball Festival, and showing an outsider like me from Miami the ropes of the city.
And the basketball ropes too, right? you got your son down to the cage down at West 4th Street Park, and basketball in the summer in New York. You gotta love it.
Shea Jones knocking down a few buckets out there. Steph Curry off the mark. Out of bounds coming back. It'll be France basketball. There's a look at Curry out of Davidson College. Bob McKillop running a great program down there.
And Bob is familiar with international basketball as well as any coach in the NCAA. He's had many international players. Understands that game.
Side Traore. Knocked out of bounds. It'll be France basketball. What do you make of Team USA so far, France, in terms of what they've done well offensively and defensively?
Well, you know, Mark, they're going to be very good. They're going to be able to guard most teams they play, and they're going to be able to cause some turmoil and get some easy runouts. They shoot it well. They don't really have an inside scorer, but the lane opens up to the trapezoid lane. But I just worry about being able to execute your offense against really good defense. This is a depleted France club right now without 6 NBA players. So, and they're going to get better, Team USA. Coach K knows, as a college coach, the turnover, you know, how you graduate guys, lose them to the NBA, and how to put together another team. And that's what he's in the process of doing right now. The 08 team was together in 07 in the FIBA Americas. This is a brand new team. It's going to take a little bit of time, and I don't know if they have the time.
That's the question that begs and hangs in the air as they head to Turkey. They'll leave tomorrow and play 3 preseason friendlies. Pardon me, friendlies. This not preseason, but friendlies against some tough opponents, including Spain and Greece. That foul against Kofi.
They'll play a very good Spanish club with essentially their entire key roster back except for Pau Gasol. But then you add Marc Gasol, who I think is quickly becoming one of the 8 or 9 best centers in the NBA. And Greece has the core of the 2006 and 2008 teams. Of course, the 2006 team knocked them off in the World Championship semifinals.
Gay with the last 6 points in a row now for Team USA. Here's a look at the friendlies that they'll play. Actually, the schedule they play beginning August 28th against Croatia, then Slovenia. And Goran Dragic of the Phoenix Suns going to be playing for them. And Brazil, a bit of your sleeper there, right?
They can be dangerous. They have a new coach, the coach Magnano, who was the architect of Argentina's great run. Of course, Nene and Varejao, Thiago Splitter, who joined the Spurs this year, and then the Brazilian Blur, Barbosa, who can put points on the board.
There's Bocolo on the wing working against Chauncey Billups. France going deep into the shot clock. Just 4 seconds left on it. Diaw fires. And a run out for Team USA. It's a 3-on-2. Billups flaring out for the 3 and knocks it down. Boy, Chauncey Billups has his stroke working today. That's his second 3-pointer. USA in the midst of an 8-0 run right now.
Well, remember, we talk about a 39% shooter from behind the arc career-wise. We're talking about the longer NBA line. You expect him to be effective in international play.
There's Rondo looking against Mikel Jelabal, who played for the Seattle Sonics several years ago. Billups off the curl. 7 on the shot clock. Here's Rondo working against Jelabal. Kicks it out to Odom for 3. That's where Lamar Odom, though, fits the FIBA profile, though, right? As a big?
Exactly. An inside-out guy. He's going to end up being a stretch, what we call a stretch five-man, as Diaw stretches the floor with that three. But exactly, Mark. You've got guys like Odom. Granger's a three for the Pacers during the NBA season, but he can play four. And Kevin Durant's going to play a lot of four, but we haven't seen much so far tonight.
There's Iguodala for three. USA now 2 for 7 from downtown. Lamar Odom with the putback. Interesting story about Lamar Odom. The other day to practice, he didn't wear the team-issued USA undergarment. He had a shirt on, friend, that had 17 championship trophies on it, and each of his teammates kind of took note, delivering a not-so-subliminal message.
I love it. Absolutely.
4-point game. Rudy Gay bringing some heat. And Rudy Gay having a good night so far with 9 points. Timeout on the floor. USA with a 6-point lead. This is how the Team USA wants to go to Turkey in transition. USA leading by 6. Time now for the Gatorade Cooler Talk and the differences between the recently enshrined 1960 and 92 Dream Teams.
Told someone today we got $1 a day per diem. Michael, I think, and you and Magic Johnson got a little bit more than that. We stayed in dorms. It was 200 degrees in there, a heat wave in Rome.
I don't know who had the best team, but I know the team in 1960 was a hell of a lot tougher than we were, because I couldn't imagine the 92 team getting in covered wagons for 8 days, going across the country, jumping in the Atlantic Ocean, swimming for 6 days, then walking 3,000 miles to the Coliseum in Rome for $1 a day. Thank you.
Hard times back in 1960, but what a team that was. A great team in its own right.
I think the original Dream Team, you think of Oscar Robertson, Jerry West, Jerry Lucas, great Bob Boozer from Kansas State. And they won every game. They averaged a 40-plus point scoring margin. First Dream Team in 92 wasn't bad either, but they were all college players back in 1960.
It's interesting, friend, how in this country we perceive the Olympics to be a bigger deal than the World Championships of basketball, where it's the flip side of the equation in the rest of the world.
It is. You know, the Olympics for us is about, unfortunately, at times selling sneakers and sports drinks and you know, stuff like that. But no, you're right. And I think I think we now, what Coach K and Jerry Colangelo have done, is they've built a culture of USA basketball that has a healthy, very healthy respect for international basketball. We're not going to win every competition from here on out, but we put great players on the floor. We win a lot of them.
Durant still struggling from outside, off the mark from downtown. Under 6.5 minutes to go in the first half. USA leading by 6, and now a zone defense, Frank.
Something that Jim Boeheim told me yesterday they may have to really use a lot.
Diaw with a nice feed inside, knocked away by Iguodala. Of course, Jim Boeheim, the guru of zone defenses.
That's exactly right. Now the danger with this is a good zone team because Tyson Chandler can control the middle. Another one of those FIBA rules. You can play the same type of zone that you can play in NCAA college basketball, unlike the NBA where you can't have a player in the lane for more than 2.9 seconds at a time.
Okolo tried to throw the lob to Batum. This is going to be showtime. Andre Iguodala punched it.
You know, Andre Iguodala is going to really go to school on this USA experience. And Doug Collins, who is a defensive, tough-minded, oriented guy, is going to get a much better player back because of that.
Whistle inside, and that's going to be a foul against USA. And one more look at the great anticipation by number 9, Andre Iguodala.
Well, that's the thing I like. You know, the steal at the other end, the dunk itself was great, but there's the anticipation you talked about. Offense created off of defense, which for this particular team is going to be very, very important.
On his Twitter feed a couple of days ago, friend, on his Twitter feed, Iguodala flirting with the idea of the dunk contest next year. You can see why. Okolo with a nice pass to Batum for 3. Zinko with the rebound, and Nick Batum dips it on Chandler.
Dave, this kid, I've had a chance to work with him in Italy at the Euro camp. only, you mentioned 21 years old. The thing you love about him, he can defend a couple spots right now. He gives you the three-point shooting, and obviously the great athleticism. He's just a baby, Mark.
Maybe not a great sequence that time offensively for the USA as Durant was off the mark. Kevin Durant 0 for 5, Brandon. That's a question, too. If Kevin Durant isn't a quote-unquote big scorer for the USA, can they win the World Championship?
Well, no, they can't. And I don't expect him to go 0 for 5 a lot of nights. He's obviously going to be a focal point. But as we talked about in the scrimmage on Thursday, Mark, there are teams that are going to climb in his jersey now and make it very, very tough for him. You know, a la we talked about Ronnie Artest in the opening round of the Western Conference playoffs because of the physicalness of FIBA play.
Phillips, he's hit his last 2 threes. That one halfway down and out. And a good block out by France as Chandler goes tumbling to the hardwood. Mikel Jelaba to DeColo, and he knocks down the 3.
DeColo, another one of those guys from the Euro camp, and Treviso had a very good first season in Spain. Property of the Spurs.
Oh, Kevin Durant with a hammer.
Okay. He's just answering the call.
He's on the score sheet now, and in a big way after going 0 for 5.
And Jay Triano, the assistant coach of Team USA, said he's not 6'9", he's almost 7 feet.
Sure looks it, and a Jinsa with a putback stick. Things heating up a little bit here in New York City. Rondo, and that's FIBA basketball. That's the rule. Once it hits the rim, it's live.
Absolutely. And you only know that because of the experience you get every year you play more FIBA basketball. Kevin Durant, first time he's going to represent the USA in a uniform, but part of the USA team program last 5 years.
Things getting a little lively here in Madison Square Garden, and good follow here.
Oh, this is sweet. Watch this. Here's the hammer job. We know how good a shooter he is. He's really so multi-dimensional. And you're right, Mark. Ball's on the rim, and that's a legal play in FIBA basketball.
USA leading by 5 with 3:46 to go in the first half. Back after this. Friend, I'm not sure who the guy is with her, but I recognize Eva Longoria from Desperate Housewives series on ABC. That's Tony Parker. San Antonio Spurs fame and his wife enjoying the game, and Thierry Henry of the New York Red Bulls, and Khloe Kardashian, wife of Lamar Odom of the Los Angeles Lakers and Team USA, and the diehard fan, he just keeps coming, friend.
He's got the Carmelo Anthony USA jersey on. You think he's sending a subliminal messages? Carmelo be a free agent next year?
Like you said, I think he was wearing a number 6 LeBron James jersey about this time last year. Team USA.
Hey, Lamar Odom's come a long way from Queens and Christ the King High School, that's for sure.
Jelaba with the kick out to Ajinça. Rebounded by Rondo. Rondo rebounds very well from that guard position. Something this team is going to have to do at the World Championships. Nice feed inside to Durant. Durant looks alive, and a foul by Florent Petrus. Laurent Petrus, the older brother of Michael Petrus of the Orlando Magic. 29 years old, the oldest player on Vincent Collet's team as Durant goes to the free throw line. Kevin Durant, Brandon, this sounds almost trident, a little bit like a cliche, but he is arguably the most humble player that you'll ever meet for a player of his stature. Well, coverage of USA Basketball Global Community Cup continuing on ESPN Saturday night as Kevin Durant and U.S. men's team take on Lithuania from Madrid. USA Basketball Global Community Cup on ESPN Saturday at 3 o'clock Eastern Time.
Lithuania right now in a downturn. Guard play is going to be very suspect as they hit the World Championships, but good pipeline of young big guys. In fact, a couple that we may see in the first 10 picks next year.
Šarūnas Jasikevičius no longer playing for them? Is he done?
He's done, but remember the name Valanciunas and Donatas Monteunas, 2 7-footers who very likely will be high picks a year from now.
USA with a 7-point lead, 3:08 to go here in the first half.
I'll drop a few names on you every now and then.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Jelaba off the mark. They're in a snapshot. one of their weaknesses, rebounding the ball, Team USA. That's going to be something paramount to their success, and that's going to be a foul against Tyson Chandler.
Well, it's interesting, right? He fouled Ajinça, who's going to be his teammate again with the Dallas Mavericks. Both involved in a trade this summer. Ajinça, just a young, big guy, hadn't really gotten a chance, Mark, to develop. Although if you saw him a couple of years ago, he's really filled out. Now he's got a ways to go at 7'2".
You look at France on the international landscape of basketball, some very talented players. A lot of NBA players.
Very much so. 8 last year in the NBA, and of course, I'm sure Coach Collet wishes he could get Dominique Wilkins out of retirement, who was born in Paris.
A little bit of trivia right there. Nice nugget, Fran.
You're welcome.
Batum with the pull-up and knocks it down. France down by just 5 points, playing much better than they did a couple of nights ago in a 20-point loss against Canada in Toronto.
Now, part of that is they've gotten the experience. This is the first time USA has, Rudy Gay knocks down a jumper. First time USA has been under the bright lights as a young team. France does have some exhibition game experience already.
Rudy Gay really helping himself tonight. Trying to remain one of those final 12 players. Jump hook no good. Gay with 11 points so far in the game. The leading scorer.
See, right now, again, Coach K's got 3 versatile forwards out there in Gay, Durant, and Odom.
Nice split on the pick play. Rondo! Houdini's in the house.
We've seen that before.
He is big with those ball
fakes. Isn't that great? Yep, he sure does, man. Especially big guys. Big guys are looking to deflect the pass here and there.
Biggest lead of the ball game now for the USA at 9. Here's Batum with 8 on the shot clock. It's a screen from Ajinça, and Durant tried to fight over the top, but it's whistled for the foul.
Well, take a look at this, Mark. Now, we've seen this before, but this is great sleight of hand. The fake pass, and now you see it, now you don't. You know what? There's a guy that got me for 3-card money out in front of the car.
His cousin? Yeah. Nice to see Rondo back in uniform. Missed a day of practice back on Wednesday because there was a death in the family. One of his favorite uncles passing away. He returned to Louisville and attended the funeral and came back. Rondo telling me that the team has done a little bit of team bonding over the last couple of days, Fran. They went to a cigar bar and hung out, all 19 of them, including some of the coaches. Chemistry so vital for their success. Diaw inside. And the lead back down to 7. There's no real way that you can force chemistry, though. How does that happen?
You know what? It starts with great character. It has a lot to do with the leadership from the top, be it the coach or a guy like Odom or Billups that's been through a lot of basketball experience.
Boy, Rondo with another layup. Great change of pace.
Rondo taking advantage of the fact that France backcourt depleted. Mentioned no Tony Parker, no Beaubois, who broke his foot about 10 days ago, and he'll miss the early part of Dallas Mavericks training camp.
A tough break for, literally, no pun intended, for Mark Cuban and the Mavericks, and Beaubois is expected to be a very vital piece for the Mavs this year. That's one thing Rondo does very well, with a quick jump on the layup.
He really does. Off balance. Really a good layup maker. That might have even actually been almost a pass. If you just softly put it up on that rim, you can go get it.
Iguodala matched up against Boris Diaw, 7 on the shot clock. That's going to be a foul against USA. It's against Lamar Odom. Pardon me, that's going to be against Eric Gordon. We get our first peek at Eric Gordon in this ball game. Friend, you kind of like the way he stacks up in a FIBA context.
Oh, well, I do. I really do. He can shoot the ball at a high rate. He's also strong enough to get to the rim in FIBA play.
It'll count if it goes off the mark by Nando De Colo, and that's the end of the first half of play. USA leading France 39-30. Rudy Gay leading the way with 11 points. Representing the Memphis Grizzlies, Diaw leading the way for France with 9. Team USA tuning up for their trip to Turkey, and Rudy Gay in fine form today. We'll head to the studio with Kevin Connors right after this break. Everyone to New York City's Madison Square Garden for the World Basketball Festival, gathering between France and Team USA. It's the Global Community Cup here in New York City. Chauncey Billups, starting point guard for Team USA, who leads by 9 as we get ready to start the third quarter of play. I'm Mark Jones, courtside, along with Fran Fraschilla. Interesting first half, Fran, where Team USA was actually tied with France after the first frame at 16, and then they pulled away a little bit in the second quarter. What do you think was the difference?
One turnover, which has been a bugaboo so far in training camp. Turning the ball, we're being sloppy with it, but much better, I thought, down the stretch. Of course, for France, as you see a turnover, and anytime you get an opportunity to create offense off your defense for Team USA, that's going to be a big thing. Rudy Gay leads USA in scoring, but then also in the half court, the efficiency of Rudy Gay so far has been very, very solid. 4 for 6 from the field, 1 for 1 from the three-point line.
Take a look at our top performers. Rudy Gay with 11 points for Team USA. Chauncey Billups got them off to a great start, knocking down his first 2 3-pointers. He has 8. Durant started off cold, but then has made his last 2 field goals. And Rudy Gay, the leader so far offensively. Team USA shooting 47% from the field in the first half. Remember, in the big picture, this is just another small step, friend, in their preparations for the World Championships of basketball, which begin on the 28th. A little over 2 weeks, their first game is going to be against Croatia. The USA trying to win this thing under the tutelage and stewardship of Jerry Colangelo right there for the first time since 1994. That was back in Toronto the last time they won.
Exactly right. Don Nelson coached that team, and they had a young center by the name of Shaquille O'Neal that played for them. Of course, 98 mark was the lockout year, so we sent non-NBA players. 2002, we lost in Indianapolis.
That's where things really bottomed out.
Yes, they did. Yep. Jerry Colangelo was brought in here as the managing director in 2005, and the culture and the credibility of Team USA is now at an all-time high.
Batum at an all-time high with a nice-looking jump shot, cutting the lead to 7. Nicholas Batum of the Portland Trailblazers.
This is a guy that missed 59 games last year with a shoulder injury, and very important piece of the Blazer puzzle. Really has a lot of chance to be a star at times.
There's Billups from downtown, and Chauncey Billups with his 3rd three-pointer of the ball game. He now ties Rudy Gay as the game's high scorer with 11.
Get the feeling that international line is a drink of water for a guy like Chauncey Billups or Kevin Durant.
They're going to be moving that line back a little bit pretty soon, right?
They will. Yep, they are starting to consolidate NCAA and FIBA rules, and they're going to start on October 1st. No more trapezoid, NBA lane, NBA semicircle.
Jinsa a little bit short on the jump shot. Jinsa, the Dallas Mavericks. Here's Rondo in transition. A 2-man game with Chandler with the lob, and a nice bit of 2-man work there between them. Chandler with 4 points. You know, Fran, it's interesting. During the halftime break, had a chance to speak with legendary Italian coach Vittorio Messina, who's here in the building observing tonight. And I asked him about Team USA's chances. He thought that at some point, as it's out of bounds off France, at some point offensively, they're going to need to be able to dump it inside to somebody. Your thoughts?
That's exactly right. That's the point I make about offensive execution in the half-court, Mark, because you're not going to be able to create offense off your defense like Bokolo will against the quality teams.
Johnny Bokolo off the steal and the punch. He's back down to 10 points.
See, Bokolo's the guy that the average fan in America has not heard of, but he's played 64 games for the French national team against a high level of competition.
Durant going to the bucket, had it rejected by Jinsa.
Donnie Nelson and Rick Carlisle, the Mavs are going to like that. He's got 2 young big guys out there.
You think there's some ambivalent feelings when a guy like Nelson, you mentioned, and Nate McMillan, an assistant coach for Team USA, as Chauncey Billups knocks down his 4th three-pointer, and he's starting to heat up a little bit. Nate McMillan, an assistant coach for Team USA, watching his guy, Nick Batum, here.
Well, the question mark if you're an NBA team is, do you want your guys to play 12 months a year because of the rigors of a 100-game schedule?
There's Batum coming up short. That one partially blocked by Iguodala. Now, don't ask Mark Cuban that question about his guys playing. Billups for another 3.
It's a conundrum because if you look at the World Championships this year, as important as they are to the various countries, you have no Gasol, no Nowitzki, no Ginobili, No Bogut, he's been injured. No Steve Nash, no Tony Parker. So there are some key guys for each of these countries that are not playing.
Coach K watching on, his team up by 13. 8 on the shot clock for Andre Iguodala. Working on Diaw to a wide open Billups from downtown. That one halfway down and out. Under 7 minutes to go here in the third quarter. Jinsa inside working against his teammate with the Mavericks. Over Chandler coming up short. Rajon Rondo, nice change of gears. Oh, you talk about a blow by. Batum's feet nailed to the floor that time as Rajon Rondo makes it a 15-point game in USA's favor, Fran.
Well, you talk about Rondo, we mentioned this, he's one of the best layup makers in the league for his size.
Chauncey Billups, 3 of 5 from downtown, leading the way for Team USA with 14 points. Kevin Durant with 5 boards and Rajon Rondo with 5 assists. And let's take a look at our State Farm Good Neighbor assist of the game.
Well, there's no question this team will play well together, share the ball, be unselfish. Takes time to get that done, but certainly a willingness on the part of these guys who have gone to school on the egoless performance of the team in 2008. When you think about Dwayne Wade coming off the bench for that 2008 team, says a lot about the way that team gelled.
Came off the bench and actually was their leading scorer.
Exactly. Leading rebounder as well was Bosch, and he came off the bench, I think.
None of those 12 players that won gold a couple of years ago in China are on this squad. Traore with the bucket. Running the lead to 13. USA basketball starting from scratch, albeit with some pretty good pieces here as they head towards the World Championships. Up high for Durant, who couldn't squeeze it.
What did I tell you yesterday about lobs? Put those in your back pocket, especially offset. You're not going to get that against the quality defenses. It's okay if you get it against Iran and Tunisia, but it's not going to work against Greece.
Billups with the drive, fouled and won. The strength and upper body power of Chauncey Billups now with 16 points.
It's a constant reminder. FIBA play, very physical, not just in the lane, but particularly out front in the backcourts, and that's where Chauncey Billups not only gives you the experience and ability, but the strength of a point guard being able to finish that play.
Foul against Yannick Bokolo. Billups had a career high last year with the Denver Nuggets, averaging 19.5 points per game. The oldest member of this team, Team USA, playing the role of Jason Kidd last time around. Interesting that Jason Kidd has been brought in as a mentor type to these guys here this year, Frank.
Well, he spent some time with the team in Las Vegas as a graduate assistant, so to speak.
Bokolo, that thing had implosion written on him from the very beginning. Here's Billups up court. Chauncey Billups has 9 of the 13 points so far this quarter for the USA. Chauncey Billups looking like a fullback going off tackle there. Well, coverage of USA basketball, the Global Community Cup continuing on ESPN Saturday night as Kevin Durant and U.S. men's national team take on Lithuania from Madrid. USA basketball Global Community Cup on ESPN Saturday at 3 o'clock Eastern time. When you think about what Lithuania has been able to do, that tiny nation,
yes, about 3 million people.
3.5 million people has done so well and been so prominent in basketball.
I remember before the breakup of the old Soviet Union, on that great Soviet Union team, 4 of the 5 starters were Lithuanian.
Arvydas Sabonis,
one of the all-time great centers. We never got a chance to see Sabonis in his prime with the Blazers because of those injuries.
Foul against Florent Petrus.
Jonas Marciulionis, not a bad player as well. They both have basketball academies right now in Lithuania, so they continue the legacy of that great Lithuanian tradition.
Kevin Durant and one. He was close to being behind the three-point line. We'll see if they counted a 3 or not. It was a 2. He was just inside it.
Now, this guy averaged 30 points a game this year. Youngest player ever in NBA history to lead the league. He's got more points right now, Mark, than any player his age in the history of the league. And I think Kevin turns 22 here shortly, but When you think of what he's already accomplished, it's unbelievable.
Fran, you stand beside him. He's listed as 6'9" in the program.
He's not. He's not.
He's closer to 6'11" and 7 foot than he is 6'9", folks.
You know, Dean Smith never wanted to, when back at the old North Carolina days, a guy could be 7'2" and they listed him 6'11", and it became a psychological thing. When you see Kevin Durant, you stand next to him, you realize he's a lot bigger than the game program shows you.
AKA the Durantula, extending those long arms of his. And right now, an 11-2 run for the USA, leading by 19. Here's Boris Diaw. Nice feed inside, and a good defensive play by Tyson Chandler. That's what he's been enlisted to do for the USA, protect the rim. And a wholesale bit of substitutions here.
Well, if you're Tyson Chandler right now, and he knows his role, and also he's that one guy, one of those guys that's got the quickness to be able to knock that ball off the rim, not just get it on the way up, but he understands FIBA basketball, being a part of that 2007 FIBA Americas Championship team.
Here's Florent Petrus. Batum from the corner. Derrick Rose in a rush. Odom with the lob. And a tough play as Rudy Gay couldn't finish, got caught in between steps.
Nice look.
Boris Diaw, the distributor.
Nice.
Good ball movement by France. Batum with the runner. He was a little bit off balance. Diaw inside with a little jump hook. Boris Diaw, who had a few moments to share with his former head coach with the Suns, Mike D'Antoni, who's on the USA staff.
Yeah, he really blossomed in Phoenix, didn't he? Sixth man of the year. Remember that playoff run he had where he played center?
Yeah. 17-point lead, and Rudy Gay had a little bit of a force. Pardon me, Danny Granger. Fouls against Rudy Gay in the 2010 FIBA World Basketball Championships come to ESPN and ESPN3.com starting August 28th. ESPN3.com will provide full live coverage of all 80 games. Yes, you can follow the U.S. men's team's journey on the ESPN TV networks. Log on to ESPN.com for schedules and a lot more information. Be in front of my laptop for that one, Fred.
I'll be fortunate enough to call the USA games, but I will be a very interested observer on a lot of those FIBA games.
I'm going to ask you to pick, if you had to pick right now, if you're looking at gold, silver, and bronze. Is it too early? Do we want to tease this for later?
Well, yeah, let's tease it for later, and I'll give you my thoughts.
Okay.
Keep you in suspense, Mark Jones.
It's tangible. It's building. Talk to you on the other side. USA leading by 17 in the third period. Mark Jones courtside along with Fran Fraschilla. Yesterday, USA got a taste of real competition against China, Fran.
Well, in the basketball world, as a good friend of mine says, it's only 2 blocks long. And Bob Donewald, he's on the right now. He's getting blocked out. His dad was an assistant to Bob Knight back in the early 70s at Indiana when Mike Krzyzewski was a grad assistant. A gentleman on the left, Pete Philo, played for me at Manhattan College. Runs the Reebok Eurocamp, Mark. And how about this? In 7 years of the camp, there will be 55 former campers on the rosters of World Championship teams going into Turkey. And that's a lot of these guys like Nicolo and Batum, Traore for France today, part of that camp. And every time we see another team, I'm hugging guys. You know?
Well, the truth of the matter is when I'm over in Europe, I'm throwing your name around like currency. It opens doors. And Rudy Gay opening a door for some more playing time, Fran, showing a nice shooting touch today. He has 13 points, but yes, the global basketball community is a couple blocks long.
It sure is. What you like about USA right now is Gay, Granger, Odom, Durant. Very, very multi-dimensional. That's what we mean by interchangeable parts, Mark.
Foul against number 10, Danny Granger, who had a great time shooting the ball against China yesterday in their scrimmage. Knocked down 3 3-pointers and finished with a total of 22 points. Right now, France with 5 team fouls, USA with a couple.
It's interesting, Mark, when you talk about what Team USA is going to expect, and we'll talk about the teams that I think will obviously give them trouble. What you're looking at is a team right now with excellent athleticism, the ability to switch defensively at 4 positions. We've seen enough shooting today from guys like Durant and Chauncey Billups. The key is going to be, can you mold a team cohesively in a couple weeks when you know that a number of these quality teams have been together for almost a generation, a decade.
Eric Gordon making a name for himself on that play, friend. You like him in a FIBA context,
absolutely,
right?
But we know about his outside shooting, but you have to get to the rim with physicality, and that's what Eric Gordon does.
And Gordon defending well there against Nando De Colo.
Colo's a guy who's, although he's a tall point guard, Mark, would be better if you had a guy like Beaubois or Parker to play with. Now he's the property of the San Antonio Spurs, but he's been very successful in Spain this past year.
San Antonio's had a lot of good history with international players. In transition, Derrick Rose. Odom with a nice feed to Kay, who tried to hammer it home, was fouled in the process. He took that thing back. He cocked it back with bad intentions.
But there's that versatility of Lamar Odom. There's a guy, Lamar Odom. Watch him play. I watched him in high school. He was a slender 6'9", small forward, point forward type. He's really morphed into a solid NBA player. 2 championships. Team guy first.
And Lamar telling us a couple of days ago at the Radio City Music Hall scrimmage that he's not quite in basketball condition yet, and he explained it in the sense that, you know, he had to take a little time off after the Lakers won the championship, and otherwise he wouldn't really have any time off for the entire off season. So Lamar Odom says that it's not a question of his weight. He's only 3 pounds over his playing weight, but his anaerobic capacity not at what it should be right now. His win.
You look at Rajon Rondo, who got to the 7th game of the NBA Finals. He played 105 games this year, including playoff games.
105. That foul against Eric Gordon.
When I'm thinking of Gordon, I mentioned this earlier to you. Rondo and Odom are the only 2 players on Team USA that got to their conference semifinals. And the one interesting thing is, how are these players going to be reacting to playing every single game on the road in tournament atmosphere? Because there will be nobody cheering for Team USA like they cheered in China or in the FIBA Americas.
Why do you say that?
It's just the culture of the world right now. We're Team USA with all the NBA guys, and
everybody likes knocking off the big guys.
Absolutely.
2:12 to go here in the 3rd quarter of play. Polo from downtown. Diaw with the rebound. And Boris Diaw muscles it back up.
Not bad for a guy that looks like he's carrying a little, you know,
little extra,
little Bridgestone underneath that jersey.
Now, Boris Diaw will be the first to tell you that he too not in great basketball shape yet. But it is a process leading up to those opening games on August 28th.
Little zone now by Team USA. Now these, see, that's great basketball. High-low. These international teams, they're used to playing against zones. So shot clock, and you got to be really reactive. Now 24-second clock. You got to get into your stuff quickly. And look at this. This is textbook right there by France. Again, they see a lot of zone during international competition in their French pro leagues, FIBA rules. Second nature to these guys, much like the college guys attack zones.
Look at Vincent Collet, the head coach of the French team. France has had mixed results throughout the years. They have had their up period, which probably peaked in 2000, friend, when they won the silver medal against Team USA, making the finals. And that now infamous, by French standards, dunk, Vince Carter over Frederick Weiss, who has some local legend to him.
It never really was embraced by New York Knicks fans when the Knicks selected Frederick Weiss over the hometown guy Ron Artest back in 1999.
And by the way, when I'm bored, I still get onto YouTube and take a look once in a while. I mean, there's the pictorial of it. Vince Carter literally jumping over the 7'1" Frederick Weiss, which might be still the greatest dunk in a game of all time. In French,
I have that argument with my boys because I think Dr. J's dunk over What was it, Michael Cooper?
Okay.
But I understand what you mean.
My French friends call it le dunk de mort, which means the dunk of death. 16-point game here and a turnover. And things going kind of downhill for Frederick Weiss after that dunk de mort.
He had a
silver medal and
solid career in French Pro A, the top league, but never did make it to the NBA. And you see that zone again, so let's see how. Again, Jim Boeheim is the zone coach for obvious reasons.
Here's Michael Gelabal from outside, and Gelabal knocks down the jump shot. He can play. He was the MVP in the championship series in the French League this year. His team winning it all. Michael Gelabal, formerly of the Sonics, an all-star in the French League, played for Asvel, a team that is partially owned by Tony Parker.
That's exactly right. They're going to pick up another solid player in Edwin Jackson, who's hurt today.
Eric Gordon knocking it down from outside and still continuing to build a case for himself being included in the final 12-man roster. He has 5 tonight.
As we mentioned earlier, Coach K and Jerry Colangelo will take 13 players on the next leg of the trip to the World Championships, and they don't have to be down to 12 until 48 hours before the opening round. And I mentioned Mark Gordon's value because of the ability to shoot the ball, which he does well. He always has, but also that power and strength.
He's pretty slapped together. 6'2", about 210 pounds.
Another one of those guys that I affectionately would say just a baby, 21 years old.
10 of the 15 players right now, actually 10 of the 13 under 25 years of age. Odom with the tip at the buzzer, and that'll count. And a nice way to punctuate the end of a very productive third period for Team USA. They made 10 of 16 from the field in the third quarter, stretching their lead to 18 points. Spike in attendance. Desperate housewife and Tony Parker. It's all about love today. Back after this. For USA basketball, coming in and really reinvigorating the entire program and the culture, Jerry Colangelo.
From top to bottom. Right now, USA is the current world champions in the under-19 and under-17 divisions. So the young guys are buying into what they're seeing from the NBA stars.
Lamar Odom with the putback, and Fred, it's become cool again to play for Team USA as opposed to with some of the younger guys. In particular, you had mentioned playing in the AAU tournament.
Absolutely, and you get a chance to represent your country, play with other great players, put the collective ego together. And that under-17 team that won in Hamburg, Germany in early July, coached by Don Showalter, a high school coach and a friend of mine from Iowa. I've had some FIBA people tell me it's one of the best USA teams of all time. Michael Gilchrist will head to Kentucky for John Calipari next year. Bradley Beal heading to Florida. It's an outstanding team.
Derrick Rose crossing up DeColo. Tipped out of bounds. It'll be French basketball. In those games, that under-17 team, they blew people away. It wasn't even close.
They sure did. Averaged about 40 points of victory.
So things certainly on the upswing for USA basketball at all levels. Here's Nando DeColo getting pressure from Derrick Rose.
See, with the depth in the backcourt in a short, 10-minute quarters, you can really play in spurts and go hard. You can come off the bench and, oh yeah.
Showtime. Rudy. 15 points for Rudy Gay of the Memphis Grizzlies. And it's a 22-point lead for USA.
That pressure defense is going to be an important part of Mike Krzyzewski's offense, but you've got the depth in the backcourt to rotate these guys and keep them fresh defensively. Look at that look.
Gay leaking out again, picking cherries, and that was a sweet one. France calls timeout with 8:23 to go in the fourth quarter. And the speed and the dexterity of Team USA really starting to come into full effect. This is how they do it. Red, white, and blue style. Well, Jerry Colangelo made sure that his USA team brought home the gold from China in '08. Here's a look at what the groups look like going into the World Championships of basketball in Turkey. in just a little bit. It's going to be a tough act to follow. When you look at the competition, this really is a better tournament, really, than you'd have a deeper tournament than the Olympics, right, Frank?
I think it's more wide open than ever. You got 4 really quality teams at the top. Some other sleeper teams like Serbia and Australia, Brazil. But I think, Mark, if you I took a lot of heat 4 years ago talking about Greece before the tournament. Now it's cool to talk about how good Greece is, but I've talked to some of my European coaching buddies, and they say Greece right now is playing the best of any team in Europe, including the great Spanish team.
And the interesting thing about Greece is Batum knocks down a 3. Friend, they're not a team that traditionally sports a lot of NBA players, right?
Absolutely not. But their backcourt is solid, and then, Mark, they've got very good size up front. Giannis Borosis, a 7-footer, could play in the league. Of course, Big Sofo is a guy that every year toys with coming over, but it's a very well-coached team and very cerebral.
Rudy Gay might have forced that one a little bit. Here comes Diaw back the other way. So the question begs, USA hasn't won the World Championships since 1994. The defending champs are Spain and Japan a couple of years ago. Who do you like, friend, to win it?
I think Greece is going to beat Spain in the final.
Really?
And I do. Obviously, Team USA has so much talent. They're going to have to gel very quickly, Mark, and adjust to being able to play in a half-court game. And I think if you gave Jerry Colangelo some truth serum, that he would probably say Spain and Greece are co-favorites as well.
So you're thinking that because of the third-place finish for USA in your predictions, that they get knocked off in the semifinals?
Well, the way it shakes out right now, if we hold true to form, Spain will play USA in the semis, and the winner will take on a Greece or Argentina. Argentina's a team with great tradition. No Ginobili this year. Still a quality 5, but they're just starting to get a little longer in the tooth. Whereas Greece still has the guys in their prime, Spanoulis and Diamantidis.
Russell Westbrook, pardon me, friend, has checked into the ball game now in the meantime. And Kevin Love as well. Love giving them another big. Rose with a sweet finger roll, and it's 72-49.
Well, now you're seeing a lack of depth because of the absence of Tony Parker. Rodrigue Beaubois really rearing itself now for France.
Diaw inside with a nice move. Boris Diaw makes it a 21-point game. Diaw with the Bobcats. Now let's get back to Spain a little bit. One of your top 3 predicted finishers, friend. Back in 2008 at the Olympics, they were defeated by Team USA by 37 points in the first game and then 11 points in the finals.
2 points with about 2 minutes to go.
Close game.
Yeah.
Although nice disclaimer.
Yes.
Good to point that out. How do you see that matchup then in the semifinals? How do you see them having a little bit of an edge?
Well, I don't know. You know, they don't guard individually as well. Calderon couldn't guard you or me right now in the backcourt. You know that. You know, they have some issues. Now, Rubio is rapidly improving. And the thing about having no Pau Gasol is Marc Gasol is one of the best 7 or 8 centers in the NBA. So Spain-USA is going to be a very interesting game, obviously.
Pass inside from Westbrook for Durant is knocked away by Mikel Gelabal.
But Spain has been together for so long. That's the biggest obstacle Coach K, the coaching staff and players have to overcome.
You would think for so many years, friend, that the pendulum has swung a little bit because for so many years the international players knew the NBA players because they watched them on TV a lot. Now with the familiarity that the USA has gotten with the international, it's even out in our favor a little bit,
well,
right?
Very much so. Very much so. And the fact that you have over 80 international players in the league last year, I think speaks to that.
Rudy Gay going to the free throw line. Of course, in the last World Championships, USA finishing 3rd, defeating Argentina for the bronze after losing to Greece in the semifinals. That second quarter against Greece was really the killer in the semis, and there's a look at the recent finishes.
Well, and remember, Greece beat in that game with Spain. Pau Gasol did not play when Spain won.
That broke his foot in the previous game.
Yep, and was still named the MVP of that tournament.
Westbrook dodging Zocolo defensively. Under 6 minutes to go here in the 4th quarter. Kevin Love knocks it away. Steph Curry on the move. to Russell Westbrook. That might be the one weak spot in his game offensively. The jump shot not consistent. Here's Batum.
Well, Russell Westbrook had a great training camp. He dominated our college guards in a lot of those scrimmages. But you're exactly right. 24% from three. That doesn't necessarily translate. And that's going to be a tough decision for Coach K because one of the guards is likely to go. Now, understand this, Mark. Defensively, we can really put pressure on teams. And so that's going to be our strength and our versatility. The key is going to be how we play in the half court.
Here's Curry. As you mentioned, Fran, they're going to take 13 overseas to Spain and make the final cut a couple of days before the 28th, which is when they play their first game against Croatia.
And the likelihood is we'll fly out of Group B, although Brazil will be dangerous. Croatia's got some good young players.
Here's Diaw from downtown, way off the mark.
Slovenia has Dragic, but they don't guard anybody, so they're not going to be a factor in my opinion.
That's going to be a foul against Batum, and interesting that Sasha Vujacic not playing. Dragic is. The two of them with a long-running feud. We're not sure as to the roots and nature of that. But
and how about Beno Udrih? He starts for the Sacramento Kings. He quits the team because he's not a starter on the Slovenian team. And then Erasm Lorbek, who played at Michigan State, was a quality EuroLeague player. He just wanted to take the summer off. Welcome to
the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Diaw up court for Kofi. And good hustle by Eric Gordon to get back in transition. Curry. Gordon from downtown. Eric Gordon, that is butter. Knocks down another three. Boy, that last cut, if you say it is going to be a guard, is going to be a real tough one, Fran. Gordon with 8 points in this game.
I think Gordon's made it very hard to cut him, and for the reasons we've talked about.
Two-man game. Go inside. Kofi wheeling with a sweeping runner. Under 4 minutes to play. USA in control, leading by 24. Kevin Love. Where does Kevin Love fit into the picture here, Fran?
Well, he's been injured. You know, he hasn't been able to practice like they want him to. So the likelihood is he's going to make the team as their third inside guy, really their second center. And the thing that the thing he does is these things right here. He's got a high IQ, excellent passer, and a good teammate. And the likelihood is you're not playing 12 guys anyway, so you need a guy who's happy to be part of the collective group, much like a Carlos Boozer was or a Tayshaun Prince. So as long as he's healthy, I think he's the insurance policy that we thought JaVale McGee might have been.
Good point. Under 4 minutes to go. Eric Gordon springs loose off the baseline screen. That time a little bit off the mark. You talked about those guys that don't get a lot of minutes, Fran, and how key they still are. You think about Tayshaun Prince. That was overlooked in the championship game against Spain. He came in and had 8 quick points and then went right back to the bench, did his job.
That's a great point, because if you remember in that game, Kobe Bryant and Dwayne Wade picked up 2 quick fouls in the first quarter, and international rules 5 and you're gone.
It's a different game in FIBA. Shorter game, smaller court. Batum. And Kevin Love strips it away. Kick ball, it's going to be USA basketball. Remember, you can catch all the World Championships of Basketball action on ESPN3.com. It all starts on August the 28th as USA faces Croatia, and on the ESPN family of networks. Great way to fill up the summer calendar, Frank.
I'll tell you what, for you and I, a hoop junkie's dream, Mark. I'm going to enjoy every one of those games.
Steph Curry, that's a sweet-looking jump shot. He shoots 44% on the season for the Golden State Warriors, and you know, you look at his body, Fran, it's maturing still. He has put on 10 pounds since the end of the regular season.
Absolutely. We got a chance to talk to his dad, Del Curry, yesterday about that, right? And the time he's put in the weight room.
Still one of the sweetest looking jump shots you've ever seen, Del Curry.
Who says it's not in the genes?
Yeah, it sure is. DNA has something to do with it. And what many wouldn't of us trade for that guy's DNA, Russell Westbrook. with lively legs getting to the bucket.
Part of that 50-win season for the Oklahoma City Thunder. They had the Ford Center rocking.
Curry defending out front. Good active hands. Comes up with the steal. Steph Curry. Durant with the tip. And with about 1:33 to go, Durant with 11 points. It's a 30-point game. France also leaving, going back home tomorrow on a flight as they have some more friendlies to get ready for the World Championships. They face teams like Canada in their group. Back with more right after this at Madison Square Garden. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Both games available on ESPN3.com. The Mets are still waiting for their first no-hitter, right?
No, that's right. One hitter the other night.
Yep.
R.A. Dickey.
Coming close.
I remember that Tom Seaver one-hitter back in 1969. He had the perfect game. Jimmy Qualls broke it up for the Chicago Cubs.
I thought I knew New York City well until I started hanging out with you. Honestly.
Hey,
every nook and cranny of this city, man, has your name on it.
Picked a couple good spots to eat, too.
Yes. Yeah, they hooked us up at Carmine's and a barbecue spot a couple nights ago.
Yep. Hey, New York has been rocking, too, hasn't it? Tourism. I ran past Mayor Bloomberg yesterday at Central Park. Didn't even recognize him. Great.
Was it because you were going too fast? Is that the implication there?
No. But it's been a great week for basketball.
Sure it has. 30-point game. Steph Curry going around the world. And good recovery that time for the block by Yannick Bokolo.
It's pretty sweet right here. Steph with the ability to step through.
From the corner, Eric Gordon. And under a minute to go now. 50 seconds in what you'd have to characterize as a step forward for Team USA as they continue to move towards their first game in Turkey. Trying to reclaim the World Championship of Basketball title for the first time since '94. That's when they defeated Russia in the final. I was actually at that game. That was the Alonzo Mourning, Sean Kemp, Shaquille O'Neal, Reggie Miller was
Reggie Miller, Mark
MVP
Price,
of that team.
Right?
Yep.
Well, back in 1990 was the last time we used college players, as you know, in Yugoslavia. The former Yugoslavia won the World Championship, beat Coach K's Kenny Anderson-led team in the semifinals, and that Yugoslavia team, the great team with Divac and Petrovic and Dino Raja. And I understand there's a 30 for 30 documentary coming out on that group and what the war did to divide a lot of friendships. It's going to be unbelievable.
Looking forward to that series. Kevin Durant fouled, going to the bucket. Isn't it amazing? You look at Kevin Durant, who is really the figurehead of this team, the face of this team, that just 3 short weeks ago he was talking like, if I make this team.
No. Mark,
I think he's on it.
He's going to start in 2012, and I predict Derrick Rose will as well, with Kobe Bryant, LeBron, and then the center. Right? And I think you'll have guys like, take a look at this now. This is incredible skill level, the off balance. But I think you'll have guys like Chris Paul and Darren Williams and Dwayne Wade and Carmelo Anthony coming off the bench.
It's interesting. A lot of those names that you mentioned, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, they all put in appearances earlier this week visiting their present Team USA team members. It's all become one big family, which is a good sign for USA basketball. 5 seconds to go. Up by 31. Bokolo off the mark. Russell stops play with 1.1 to go. Yeah, Kobe showed up at the scrimmage yesterday against China and had a chance to visit with his Team USA teammates.
See Jay Triano on the bench. He's going to replace Mike D'Antoni, who has got a bad back and will not make the trip to the World Championships.
This one's done. In the books as USA wins by 31, 86-55. Rudy Gay leading the way, Fran, with 19 points on 7 of 12 from the field. And Chauncey Billups with great leadership at the point. He had 17.
Leadership and that ability to shoot the shorter international three. Of course, Kevin Durant, as you mentioned, will be the focal point. A lot of solid things happen, particularly as the game wore on, Mark. I thought first time under the lights for a young team, and something to build on as they now go to the next part of training camp in